Welcome everyone. Wednesday night, Chithurst Buddhist Monastery, all gathering together, both in person and online, joining a live stream, all connecting in this way for this time, this 1 hour, all connecting around goodness, around wholesome intention, interest in peace, interest in developing peaceful mind, peaceful heart, interest in developing wholesome discernment, often referred to as wisdom, understanding. So no matter whether we've walked here, or driven here to get here physically, whether we live here, or whether we're joining online, we've set aside everything else for this hour. And just right there, that's wholesomeness. Just that much. We're leaning towards goodness, peaceful action, peaceful karma. However, just because we're gathered, there's the residue of, the echo of our day, of our week, of our life. It follows us. Just sitting down quietly things don't necessarily disappear. And sometimes finally stopping and resting and sitting down is when we start to notice things in the mind and the heart that maybe we hadn't noticed before because maybe we were just too occupied with what we were doing, and rightly so. And if we're working or relating to other people, raising a family, studying, traveling, doing these things, we need to think. We are occupied with those things. And a moment ago, I used the word, the echo. There's that residue. It's normal. Nothing's gone wrong with that, or when we notice that. And my own way of relating to it is that that's just one of the usefulness. The useful aspects of meditation is stopping and allowing those echoes to do what they do. Noticing, finally sitting down and noticing, giving a chance for them to resolve themselves. And so we're not ignorant, we haven't gone through our day and night without noticing the effects of our activities. Whatever those effects are. So I encourage all of us to open up this evening, and every time that we do, either sit down and meditate, or even just to sit down and just be quiet, is to open up to what arises. Oftentimes our discontent, our stress, our dissatisfaction is not relating to our inner world, our inner responses to our experiences. If we can learn to coexist, to allow, to acknowledge our inner responses in a healthy, wholesome, spacious way, then when things happen, we're okay. We can be okay with what comes our way. Not okay as in like, oh, it's okay if these terrible things happen. No, but we're steady. We remain whole. We remain grounded so that we can cope with clarity, not through repression, not through suppression, but we can, coexist with experience and truly feel the results of experience. And that goes right from the spectrum of the highest joys to the lowest lows, the most painful lows. And coming together like this is practice. So we're giving ourselves the gift of developing the heart and mind, the spacious heart and mind, the resilient heart and mind, the understanding heart and mind. So these weeks I've been having sessions with the resident community here, contemplating one of the Buddha's key teachings, the Satipatthana Sutta. It's one of the few teachings that he gave in suttas, or at least that still exist, that really clearly give step-by-step meditation instruction. And it's actually very simple. At its heart, it's very simple. And so it's a big sutta. One could take a lifetime to really contemplate it and certainly use it. And so we've been reviewing, contemplating, discussing the first of the Satipatthana. And Satipatthana has various translations, but 4 establishments of mindfulness, or 4 frames of reference, sometimes foundations of mindfulness. But it's 4 ways of framing our human existence, one being through the body, second one through feeling, and feeling in Buddhist practice, in our tradition, is just painful, pleasant, or neutral. The third is mind states, so mind and emotions. And then the fourth is around just the arising and ceasing of phenomena, and how we can view those, relating to the recognition of phenomena. And so we're looking at the body, and especially in the early parts of that section of the sutta, it's just establishing mindfulness in the most basic aspect of our human existence, and that is just breathing. just recognizing the breathing process and using that as we establish our mindfulness on our breathing. It doesn't need to be refined. It's not lofty in and of itself. It's just that recognizing the breath entering and leaving our body. And then the other aspect of this establishment of mindfulness that I'm going to use tonight is around posture. The Buddha himself typically referred to the four postures: standing, walking, seated, and lying down. And that also infers, and is really the way I at least work with it, is that it's referring to any posture of the body, including the postures that connect those four. So in this hall, we're all seated. Perhaps at home, if you're not able to sit at this time for whatever reason, you might be standing, or perhaps even lying down. And that's all fine, because the peaceful-minded heart is not based on any particular posture. So I'm going to assume that people are most likely seated, whether you're on a chair, on a meditation mat, on a bench, sitting on the edge of your bed. Doesn't matter. But try and establish ourselves in a seated posture that can be sustained for a relatively long period of time, for the next, if possible, for the next 40 minutes. If we need to move because the posture is becoming too uncomfortable, then move with mindfulness. Move quietly, intentionally, carefully. So take a few moments to establish the posture that supports you. If we're seated, whatever seated posture we're in, imagine aligning your ear, so the ear canal, with the center of your shoulder. So imagine looking at yourself from the side and aligning your ear canal, the center of your shoulder socket, and the center of your hip socket. So if there was a plumb line that we could hold up and see, those would be perfectly in line from the side. Establish the head so that it's neither tilting to the right or left, nor forward and back, so it's just that sweet spot in the middle. And the chin is level, neither dropped nor raised. So we're establishing a seated posture, which is, if it's in alignment, then we are using the least amount of energy necessary to hold it up. So just enough energy to maintain this. If we're out of alignment, then we're needing to use unnecessary energy. It creates physical stress, and which that can then sometimes translate into inner stress without us even knowing it. The body and mind affecting each other. So just sitting. And when we're sitting like this, we might hold the perception, I'm sitting still. So we're not moving. Except we are. Tune in to the parts of the body that are moving. And I'm primarily encouraging us to look at how the body moves as we breathe. Where does it move? And wherever you find that recognition of movement the easiest, I suggest using that as your meditation object. What I'll refer to as a meditation object is that part of your body moving as the breath comes in and out. For me, I find my abdomen the easiest place to notice the breath. So that's where I'm placing my attention, but you may have a different place. So use that. And so for these next minutes, just establish a gentle, resting focus on that part of your body as the breath comes in and out, and use that as a place to return when the mind wanders. As soon as we recognize the mind has gone elsewhere, the focus has gone elsewhere, gently reestablish mindfulness on the breath where you were noticing it before. So we'll do this for some minutes now. For most of us, our minds are thinking nearly constantly. And this practice, we could call it an exercise, is, well, it's many things, but I find it's an opportunity to actually notice how much the mind is thinking. So we're not trying to develop thinking about the breath. We're using our ability to place our attention on something that's so simple. It's been with us ever since we were born. So if we find ourselves thinking about the breath, that's in a way quite natural, because the mind, that's what it does, it thinks, our intellect. And if we notice that we're doing that, just gently lay aside the thinking process and pay attention to the experience of breathing. Not the description of the experience, but the visceral, physical experience of breathing. So, to put it in the vernacular, get out of our heads and into our body. And no matter how many times we may notice that we've started thinking, and that's fine, just no matter how many times, just return to the body gently, not judging thinking, not pushing it away, but just leaving it be and returning to the body. My belly expanding and contracting naturally with the breath coming in and out. Wherever you're noticing your breathing, just go back there. Time after time. This is the practice. course, other things can enter our field of awareness. For instance, helicopter just went over. Maybe other sounds, other sensations. This is natural. And we can be aware of those coming and going within our limitless, boundless, borderless field of awareness. They're just different quote-unquote objects arising and ceasing in consciousness awareness. We've been choosing to place our attention on the breath arising and ceasing in this borderless field of awareness. But try and tune into the space, the spaciousness around consciousness awareness. Yes, there's the breath, but then there's the helicopter. Yes, there's the breath, then there's thoughts arising and ceasing. There's space for all of it. There's room. And if we can start to discern that borderless, boundless, limitless field of awareness, then there's space for everything, because there's no boundary. There's no limit to what we can experience. The highest high and the lowest low, the most delightful to the most painful. We can allow that to pass through awareness consciousness. And we can feel it. We can feel the misery. We can feel the joy. But stay steady. Stay whole, remain whole. Consciousness awareness, aware of breath. Consciousness awareness, aware of all other experiences. They're all changing, coming, going, arising, ceasing within consciousness awareness. if we're experiencing the chattering mind, the monkey mind, if we feel that it's just a constant flow, this can be a very normal experience. See if you can discern even the shortest gap between a thought, a word within a thought, no matter how short. See if you can notice a gap. A very useful tool for developing this is to think intentionally. Create a very short phrase of words to repeat silently in your mind. And do it slowly and be open to noticing the gap, the space between those intentionally created, thought out words. One I use, that I learned from others, is to simply think something so simple and so uncontestable, like, I am a human being. And in our mind, silently think those words slowly, but in between the words, see if we notice the silence. So we think the word I am a human being. Sometimes the mind hijacks the moment and says, oh, this is ridiculous. There's more to it, and this goes into a story. And if you catch yourself doing that, just, not now. Let's go back to the simple phrase. Now, if we do discern, even for a microsecond, this silent mind, even for that snap of a finger, that's a taste of this substratum of peace that's always there. Like the glimpse of blue sky on a cloudy day. Blue sky is there, just obscured. And we know that. So let's see if we can get these little glimpses of our internal blue sky this substratum of peace, of silence. As we draw near the end of our session together this evening, and as we do end the formal meditation, maybe consider what actually changes. If we've had our eyes closed, which is probably the case, then we start to see shapes and colors and objects. We start to move our bodies, we start to do other things, perhaps talk to people, whatever. So these are experiences and actions, internally and externally, that are arising and ceasing in consciousness awareness. They all arise and cease within that boundless, limitless, borderless consciousness awareness. Yes, the posture is changing. Yes, the mind is engaging. Yes, the sixth sense spaces they're experiencing. But ask the question, has this substratum of silence disappeared? Or is it simply temporarily obscured? Can we loosen up our grip on the objects in awareness? By allowing them to come and go as they do. Witnessing change. Consciousness witnessing change.